it be me. This is not a fighting song. Let it be me. Not a wrong for a wrong. Let it be me. If the world is light, shine my life like a light.
Liberty, independence, freedom. Have these words lost their meaning? Have they become historical cliches that fall on deaf ears in a society where their impact is taken for granted? In this episode of The Visionaries, you will meet people for whom these words still ring. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Ukrainians rejoiced in their newfound nationhood. But they were also left to fend for themselves. In the medical community, doctors faced severe supply shortages and sometimes had to take mandatory unpaid vacations. Today, you will meet Roman Dashowitz, who set out to prove just how big a ripple one drop can make. Over the last decade, emergency medical aid to Ukraine has helped facilitate hundreds of life-saving and life-changing procedures on children. In their pain, Roman sees tomorrow's hope, future leaders who will heal and lead Ukraine toward a new kind of independence.
Taras is a little boy from a village in Ukraine. He touched a high power line that had fallen and got severely electrocuted. When I see Taras in such pain, I just feel driven to take him under my wing. And now we're faced with taking Taras once again into surgery. Taras's life is kind of like the life of Ukraine. It has to get mended. In 1991, Ukraine became independent of the Soviet Union. I saw an opportunity to give a hand in building a country.
Both of my parents are from Ukraine. My dad was born in 1913 and my mom was born in 1925. During World War II, when the Germans came to Ukraine, my dad at that time was a prisoner of war. He had been at the Polish front and landed in Germany.
My brother and I were both born in refugee camp in Germany. Unfortunately, my dad died a year before independence. He would have been thrilled that both my sister and I work in the medical care of Ukraine today.
Oh, the first time I came, heart-wrenching. That puts it all in that word.
It was very dark. The hospital inside was dark. It was such a stark picture of what Ukraine was medically, really. There was a mother holding, we found out later, about a 9-year-old boy who was dying of a brain tumor. And we tried to offer medication to the doctors to ease his pain and suffering and his swelling in his brain. And they said, we don't have enough medicine. What you give us is it. We're going to save it for children that we know will survive. 3 days later, the boy died.
And that's when I decided this was going to be my work. And 11 years later, we're still doing it.
The mission of EMAU, right from the beginning, was to provide technology, provide supplies, provide a collegial teaching atmosphere.
Is there concern the appearance of the lip? Is that what bothers them?
We come here with specialists from the United States.
1 year and a half.
Ukrainian children have birth defects, severe, because of heavy metal poisonings. We have severe traumas, accidents. This is 18-year-old. A truck ran over her leg.
We have safety issues such as open fires.
This is a little boy who was a fire in the village house.
How functional is
He escaped with burns, with severe burns, torso, arms, neck, head, and his sister tried to hide from the fire, went under a bed, and she perished. Ukraine, to many people, is Chernobyl. We do get radiated children, where you might have digits growing out of an area at the elbow.
It's just a absolute stream of patients, mostly children. It seems like everyone you see is a bit worse off than the previous.
One of the mistakes that people make when they talk about independence is that they think that freedom will give them instant everything. It's not true. Ukrainians have a terrible economy, a terrible medical system.
I have to say that for the treatment of our patient for 1 day, we have only $1 in our budget. So it goes without saying. We don't have to say any more about that.
Ukraine's problem, as far as medical care, has to do a lot with non-responsiveness by officials to problems. Taras was, for instance, playing in the field. Was a high power line that had fallen. The town officials had called administrators in the region, and they got no response for weeks. Taras lost part of an arm, has damage to his skull bone, which has to be fixed someday.